The Galactic Embassy floated in the black ocean of space like a giant jewel, its crystal towers glowing under the twin suns of ViewerShip. It was the most beautiful creation of the Vihiran Empire, a city built on light, sound, and peace. For the first time in history, the humans of Earth had been invited to this sacred place. Commander Elias Roran stood at the entrance hall, wearing his navy blue uniform with the Earth emblem shining on his shoulder. Around him moved alien delegates of every kind, some tall and shining like liquid glass, others short and covered in scales, and some that floated like silver mist. But all eyes turned when the humans entered. The Vihirans were an ancient race known for their wisdom, elegance, and beauty beyond measure. They were beings of light, their forms shaped by energy and emotion shifting in color and glow depending on what they felt. To them, humans looked rough and solid, like creatures made of stone compared to light, yet there was curiosity in their eyes, and perhaps a little respect. Today was a day of unity. The Treaty of Light and Life would be signed, joining the Vihiran Empire and the Human Federation in peace. As the grand doors opened, a wave of golden light filled the chamber. Everyone fell silent as Queen Velyara, ruler of Vihira, entered. She was tall and graceful, her form wrapped in flowing ribbons of radiance. Her eyes were deep pools of soft light, holding both kindness and command. She moved as though gravity itself bowed to her. Behind her came Princess Lysera, and when she appeared, even the air seemed to stop. Lysera's beauty was something beyond human understanding. She looked partly human, yet her skin shimmered like starlight caught in motion. Her hair flowed like molten silver, and her eyes glowed with a warmth that felt alive. She was light made flesh, and every being who saw her felt both awe and fear, as if their hearts could not contain her perfection. Elias felt it too. For a moment he forgot to breathe. Then he forced his eyes down, staring at the marble floor, his soldier's discipline saving him from staring too long. Queen Velyara's voice filled the hall. It was calm, yet it carried the power of 1,000 echoes. "Honored guests," she said. "Today light meets life. The humans of Earth stand before the Vihiran Empire as equals. Let us seal our friendship not only with words, but with understanding." Applause filled the air, or something like it. Many aliens created bursts of color or sound to express joy. Elias stood beside the other human diplomats, trying to remain calm. But the Queen's next words made his heart stop. "As a sign of unity," said the Queen, "I wish to offer a bond, one that will link our races for all time." She turned toward her daughter. "My daughter, Princess Lysera, shall join her life with that of a human, if one among you proves worthy." The chamber went silent. Even the air seemed to freeze. Elias looked up in disbelief. A royal marriage? Between a Vihiran princess and a human? That was not in any treaty. He glanced at Ambassador Thorn, his superior, who looked just as shocked. But before anyone could speak, the Queen's gaze settled on Elias. "You," she said softly. "Commander Elias Roran, I have heard of your courage during the Arkan conflict. Your people call you the man who chose mercy. You spared enemies when others sought destruction. Tell me, would you honor my daughter?" Every eye in the chamber turned toward him. Elias felt his throat go dry. He could feel Lysera's gaze upon him. Warm, curious, powerful. He bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I am honored," he said carefully, "but I am only a soldier. I am not worthy of such—" The Queen raised a hand. "Answer the question, human. Do you accept my daughter's affection?" Elias looked up at Lysera. She smiled faintly, like sunlight breaking through clouds. For a moment her light brightened, filling his vision. He had to look away again. He struggled for words. His voice came out quiet but clear. "I cannot." A wave of shock spread through the chamber. The Queen's eyes narrowed. "You refuse the Princess of Vihira?" "I do," Elias said. "But not because I am ungrateful." "Then why?" the Queen demanded. Elias raised his head slowly. His eyes met Lysera's, and though his heart raced, he spoke the truth. "Because she's too beautiful." The hall went silent. The light around the Queen dimmed. No one spoke. Even the hum of the great engines outside seemed to stop. "Too beautiful," the Queen repeated, her voice sharper now. "You reject her because of beauty?" Elias nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. To me, her beauty is like standing before a sun. It is not something a human can face without being burned. Lysera tilted her head slightly, curious rather than angry. "You fear me?" she asked, her voice soft, melodic, almost like a song. "I fear what I feel," Elias admitted. "Your form, your light, and it reaches something deep inside me, something I don't understand. It's not love. It's something greater, something humans were never meant to hold." The queen studied him with eyes like twin stars. Around her, murmurs began to spread. Alien whispers, questioning, disbelieving. Some thought the human was insulting their royal line. Others thought he was mad. Elias stood straight, his hands behind his back, his heart pounding. "Humans see beauty differently," he continued. "We find it in small things, a smile, a scar, the way someone laughs. Perfection isn't beauty to us, it's unreachable." The queen's light flickered in surprise. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Finally, she rose from her throne, her voice low but calm. "You speak strange words, human." "Perhaps too strange." Elias bowed again. "Perhaps. But they are true." Lysera stepped forward then, her light softening until her glow was gentle, almost human. She looked at him with interest. "You hide behind your words," she said. "But I see your heart. You are not afraid of me. You are afraid of what you might feel." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe," he said. "Humans often fear what they cannot control." The queen turned toward her daughter. "Lysera, enough." Then she looked back at Elias. "You will remain as our guest. You will learn our ways, and we will learn yours. Perhaps in time you will understand what beauty truly means." Her voice was calm, but there was a power behind it, a command that could not be refused. Guards of light stepped forward. Elias was escorted out of the grand hall and into the shining corridors of the embassy. He said nothing as they guided him to his quarters, high above the glowing city below. When he was finally alone, he walked to the window. The stars of Vihira burned brightly, like living diamonds scattered across space. Below, the alien capital floated like a dream, towers of glass and energy rising from clouds of color. Elias took a deep breath. He had spoken honestly, but perhaps too boldly. The Vihirans were proud, ancient, and powerful. To reject their princess was more than personal. It was political. He knew what awaited him. Questions, judgment, maybe even punishment. But deep inside, he also knew he was right. Lysera's beauty was not something of flesh. It was something vast and cosmic, something that made the heart tremble. To love her would be like trying to embrace a star. It would burn him from within. Still, as he looked at the horizon, he saw a faint glow, a shimmer of silver light moving across the city. The princess was flying above the towers, her luminous form painting trails across the night sky. For a moment, Elias forgot everything. The politics, the danger, the fear. He simply watched her dance across the stars, and deep within him a quiet thought whispered, "Maybe beauty is not meant to be feared. Maybe it is meant to be understood." The next morning on Vihira Prime began with the rising of two suns. Their golden and silver rays touched the shining towers of the city, turning the whole sky into waves of living light. It was unlike anything Elias had ever seen. From his chamber in the upper section of the Galactic Embassy, he looked out at the glowing horizon. The building seemed to breathe, the air filled with gentle hums, the Vihiran song of morning. It was beautiful beyond words, yet Elias felt a quiet weight in his chest. He had slept little. His mind kept replaying the queen's question, her cold tone and Lysera's calm, curious eyes. "Why did I say that?" he asked himself. "Why too beautiful?" But even now he knew his answer had been true. A soft chime echoed in his room. The door opened automatically, and a Vihiran guard stepped inside, tall, translucent, his armor made of light. "Commander Elias," the guard said politely, his voice calm but firm. "Her Majesty Queen Velyara requests your presence." Elias nodded. "I expected as much." He straightened his uniform, checked his silver pin of Earth's emblem, and followed the guard through the glowing corridors. The walls shimmered as they walked, reflecting soft light that seemed to move like water. They entered the Hall of Reflection, a circular chamber filled with floating mirrors of energy. Each mirror showed a different part of the galaxy, stars, nebulae, and strange alien worlds. In the center stood Queen Velyara, tall and radiant as ever, her light calm but controlled. Beside her stood Princess Lysera, quiet, her glow softer than before, almost human in its warmth. Elias stopped a respectful distance away and bowed slightly. "Your Majesty," he said, "you wish to speak with me." The Queen studied him silently for several moments. Then she said, "You insulted my daughter in front of every leader in this galaxy, human. Do you understand what that means?" Elias kept his voice steady. "I understand that my words caused confusion, but I did not mean disrespect." "Then explain yourself," she said. "Explain why you, a mortal creature of dust and bone, would reject what my kind has called divine." Elias looked at the princess. Lysera met his gaze, her expression calm and curious. She seemed more interested than offended. He took a slow breath. "Your Majesty, I said she was too beautiful, not as an insult, but as truth. To humans, beauty isn't always a gift. Sometimes it's a burden. Sometimes it blinds us." The Queen's light flickered faintly, a sign of irritation. "You fear beauty? That is weakness." "No," Elias said softly. "It's humanity." Lysera stepped forward before her mother could reply. "You said my light reaches something in you, something humans cannot hold." "What did you mean?" Elias hesitated. The question felt personal, but her tone was gentle. "When I look at you," he said slowly, "I see something too perfect, too pure. Humans are made to live with limits, shadows, flaws, mistakes. When we see something without those, it feels unreal, unreachable. It makes us feel small." Lysera's glow dimmed slightly. "So my beauty makes you feel weak?" Elias shook his head. "No, it makes me feel human." For a long moment, silence filled the hall. The Queen looked between them, her expression unreadable. Finally, she said, "You humans are strange creatures. You speak of imperfection as strength." "It is," Elias replied, "because we grow through it. We learn, fail, and try again. That is how we become more than what we are." The Queen's light pulsed once, and then she turned away. "Enough words. If you wish to understand our kind, you will live among us. You will see our ways, our beauty, our truth. Perhaps then your heart will change." She looked at Lysera. "My daughter will be your guide." Elias blinked. "Your Majesty, do not refuse," the Queen said, her tone final. "This is my command." Elias bowed his head. "As you wish." Lysera's light flickered softly like a smile. "Then come, human. Let me show you the heart of Vahira." They left the palace together, walking along a crystal path that floated above a sea of clouds. Below them, the shining city spread endlessly. Towers of living glass, bridges of light, and gardens where energy shimmered like petals. Everywhere Elias looked, Vahiran art surrounded him. Sculptures of light moved gently with the wind. Music echoed from glowing crystals, and beings of pure color drifted gracefully through the air. It was paradise, but it felt cold. "Your world is beautiful," Elias said quietly, "but it feels lonely." Lysera glanced at him. "Lonely? How can a place of such perfection be lonely?" "Because perfection leaves no room for surprise," he said. "No mistakes. No small things to laugh at or cry over. Humans need those. They make us feel alive." Lysera tilted her head, thinking. "Your kind values chaos," he smiled slightly. "We call it freedom." They reached a wide platform where Vahiran children played, or rather floated, shaping colors and sound into games. When the children saw Lysera, they bowed, glowing with respect. She smiled kindly at them, then turned back to Elias. "Do your children fear you?" she asked suddenly. Elias looked surprised. "No, why would they?" Lysera's voice softened. "Our people see me as a symbol and the perfect light of Vahira. They respect me, but none dare come close. Even these little ones." She paused, her glow dimming just a bit. "Sometimes I wonder if anyone truly sees me, not just the light I carry." Elias looked at her, realizing that beneath her shining form was someone who longed to be understood. He said quietly, "On Earth we say beauty can hide sadness. Maybe that's true even among the stars." Lysera looked at him for a moment, then smiled faintly. "You speak as if you can see through my light." "Maybe I can," Elias said, "because I'm not blinded anymore." For the first time she laughed, a soft, melodic sound like the ring of crystal. It made the air shimmer. "You are strange, human. You see flaw where others see perfection," he smiled. "Maybe that's why humans survive everything. We see hope in broken things." As the day passed, Elias saw more of Vahira. He visited their temples, their markets, their libraries of living light. Everywhere the Vahirans spoke with grace and beauty, but he also sensed a quiet sadness. They were perfect, but perfection came with cost. There was no hunger, no pain, but also little joy or surprise. That night, as the sun set and the city glowed under twin moons, Elias and Lysera stood on a high balcony. The air shimmered with soft color. Lysera spoke softly. "You said I am too beautiful. I thought that was an insult. But now I see you meant it as truth." Elias nodded. "Yes, because beauty can be heavy. It makes others forget you are real." She looked at him, her expression gentle. "You see what even my people do not." Then she lifted her hand, and a small sphere of light floated between them. Inside it was an image, a memory. Elias saw a young Lysera, standing alone in a bright hall surrounded by Vihirans bowing before her. None dared speak. None smiled. She whispered, "They love my light." "But not me," Elias said quietly. "Then maybe it's time someone did." Lysera's eyes glowed softly. "And do you?" He looked at her, feeling the question's weight. "I don't know yet, but I want to understand you first, truly." For a moment her glow flickered in warm pink tones, Vihiran color for gratitude. "Then you are different, Elias Roran. No one has ever spoken to me this way." He smiled faintly. "Humans have a habit of saying what others won't." She laughed again, a quiet melody under the night sky. But then her light dimmed as she looked toward the horizon. "The Queen will not stop," she said. "She believes beauty must be worshipped. If you continue to refuse, she will see it as rebellion." Elias sighed. "Then I'll have to make her understand." "I didn't come here to start a war." Lysera turned to him, her eyes bright with something new, hope. "Maybe you won't start one. Maybe you'll end one." Elias looked at the stars above. The galaxy shimmered like a sea of living fire. He didn't know what fate awaited him here, among beings of light and power. But he felt something awaken inside him. Not fear this time, but purpose. He whispered to himself, "If beauty is a burden, maybe humanity's task is to teach the stars how to bear it." And far beyond the balcony, unseen by them both, shadows moved in the light. Watchers who whispered of rebellion and the danger of a human who dared to speak against perfection. The story of Elias Roran was just beginning. The days on Vihira Prime passed like slow waves of light. Every morning the twin suns rose over the crystal towers, painting the world in gold and silver. Every evening the skies glowed in shades of violet and blue. Commander Elias Roran had now spent 10 days on the shining world of the Vihirans. He was no longer treated as a stranger, but not yet accepted as one of them either. To most Vihirans he was an odd creature, solid, heavy, imperfect, and yet strangely brave. Only Princess Lysera treated him like an equal. Each day, she took him to new places, the crystal gardens, the rivers of light, the floating libraries where thoughts could be read as songs. Elias learned about their way of life, and in return he told stories of Earth, of oceans, mountains, and people who dreamed under one moon. At first, the Vihirans listened out of politeness, but soon some began to visit him often, curious about this race that found beauty in chaos, music in imperfection, and courage in weakness. Lysera was fascinated most of all. One morning, she guided Elias to the Hall of Echoes, a giant open dome where sound and light danced together. The walls shimmered like living mirrors, and every footstep created soft ripples of color. "This is where our people come to find balance," Lysera said. "Every tone, every beam of light connects to our minds. Harmony is the heart of our world." Elias looked around in awe. "It's beautiful," he said. She smiled. "Beautiful but predictable. Every note, every color follows a perfect pattern. Nothing here surprises us anymore." Elias looked at her. "Then maybe it's time someone changed the pattern." She tilted her head, curious. "How?" Elias walked to the center of the dome and began to hum a simple human tune, soft, uneven, and emotional. It wasn't perfect. His voice cracked slightly at one point, but the sound echoed through the chamber, and the light around them shifted unexpectedly, forming patterns that had never appeared before. Lysera's eyes widened. "It's new," she whispered. "The light is reacting to your song." Elias smiled. "Because it's not following a rule, it's following a feeling." Lysera closed her eyes and joined in. Her voice blended with his, pure, strong, and flawless. Together their sounds created a strange harmony that filled the air like living energy. The light swirled, changing from gold to blue to soft white. When they stopped, silence fell. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Lysera said softly, "This is what you meant, isn't it? Beauty from imperfection." Elias nodded. "Exactly. Perfection can be beautiful, but it's emotion that makes it alive." She smiled gently. "You make me see my world differently, Elias Roran." That evening, Lysera took him to the sky gardens, where crystal plants floated in the air and stars reflected on pools of light. The view was breathtaking. Elias had never seen a place so peaceful. Yet something in Lysera's eyes told him peace wasn't the whole story. "You seem troubled," he said quietly. She looked up at the sky. "Do you know why my mother wants me to bond with a human?" Elias shook his head. "She believes the Vihiran light is fading," Lysera said softly. "Our people are growing weaker with every generation. We live too long, think too perfectly, and change too little. We need something new, something alive. My mother thinks humanity can give us that spark." Elias was silent for a moment. "Then she's not wrong." Lysera turned to him. "But she wants to force it. She wants me to bond for politics, not for choice. To her, love is a duty." He looked at her, seeing not the radiant princess, but a lonely being trapped by expectations. "And what do you want?" he asked. Lysera hesitated. "I want to be seen, not as light, not as perfection, but as myself." Her glow dimmed softly, and for the first time, Elias could almost see the outline of a young woman beneath the energy. "Someone fragile, real and kind, you are seen," he said gently. "At least by me." She smiled, her light flickering like a heartbeat. "You say the most human things, Elias Roran." Days turned into weeks. The bond between them grew stronger. Elias found himself laughing more, even among beings made of light. The Vihirans started to look at him differently, not as a strange creature from a dark world, but as a friend. Some even began trying human things, drawing, singing, or telling jokes without pattern. The queen noticed this change, and though she said nothing, her gaze became sharper each time she saw Elias and her daughter together. But something else was happening. Something darker. Whispers spread among the High Council. Not all Vihirans supported the queen's desire for peace with humans. Some called Elias a shadow creature. Others believed his influence would corrupt the Vihiran way. One night, as Elias walked through the crystal corridors back to his quarters, he noticed a faint flicker in the air, a shadow strange and fast. He turned, but nothing was there. He shook his head, telling himself it was just fatigue. But the next morning, Lysera came to him with worry in her eyes. "Elias," she said softly, "there are voices in the palace. Some say you are dangerous, that you are changing me," he frowned. "And is that a bad thing?" "To them, yes," she said. "To me, I'm not sure." Elias smiled slightly. "Then maybe that means it's working," she sighed. "Be careful, Elias, not all light is kind." Later that day, the queen called for him again. The throne hall was empty except for her. She sat upon her shining seat, her eyes bright and unreadable. "Commander Roran," she said, her voice calm, "you have spent many days among us. You have walked in our light, spoken with my daughter, and changed how some of my people think. Tell me now, what have you learned of the Vihirans?" Elias stood tall. "That your people are extraordinary and trapped. You've built a perfect world, but it's one without growth. You don't feel fear, loss, or failure anymore. You've forgotten how to live." The queen's light flashed sharply. "And you think humans can teach us this?" "Yes," Elias said firmly. "Because humans are imperfect. We fall, we bleed, we learn. That's what gives us strength. That's what beauty truly means." The queen studied him for a long time. Then she said, "You speak boldly, human. But remember, our light shaped stars while your kind still crawled in the dark." "I know," Elias said quietly. "And yet here we stand, together. Maybe light and darkness were meant to meet." The queen said nothing more. She simply dismissed him with a flick of her hand. But as Elias turned to leave, he saw something in her eyes. Not anger, but worry. That night, Lysera appeared at his quarters again. She seemed brighter than usual, her glow almost trembling. "I have something to show you," she said softly. Elias followed her to the highest tower of the palace. From there, the stars looked close enough to touch. Lysera raised her hands, and light gathered around her, forming shapes, images of the past. He saw Vihiran ships flying across the galaxy, spreading light to countless worlds. But then he saw darkness, battles, destruction, and silence. "This is our history," Lysera said. "We were creators once, but also destroyers. Our beauty brought pride, and pride brought ruin. My mother hides this truth to protect our image. Elias stared at the glowing scenes, understanding dawning in his eyes. So your perfection isn't real. It's built on fear. Lysera nodded. Fear of what we used to be. Elias looked at her with deep respect. Then maybe the real beauty is what you are now. Learning, changing, feeling again. Lysera smiled softly. And maybe the real courage is what you are, Elias Roran, daring to love something you cannot touch. He looked into her eyes, her light reflecting in his. I don't know if it's love, he said quietly, but it's something close. A moment passed, long and silent, filled with the hum of the stars. Then a sudden flash lit up the horizon, a distant explosion in the lower towers. The ground shook and alarms echoed through the air. Lysera's light flared in shock. No, the council chambers. Elias's instincts took over. Stay behind me, he said, pulling her toward cover. From the window, he saw bursts of energy below, flashes of rebellion. Who's attacking? He asked. Lysera's voice trembled. The purists. Those who believe no alien should touch our blood. Elias clenched his fists. Then we fight. Lysera looked at him, not as an alien princess, but as a comrade. Together, she said. The light of Vihera burned bright that night, not with peace, but with the fire of change. The night sky above Vihera-Prime was a swirl of gold, silver, and violet. Light rained down from the twin moons, reflecting off the crystal towers and casting long shadows. But the beauty of the city could not hide the chaos below. Commander Elias Roran stood at the edge of a floating platform overlooking the lower districts. His heart pounded, his mind clear and precise. The Purists, a radical faction within the Viheran Empire, had rebelled, seeking to capture Princess Lysera and use her energy as a weapon to overthrow the Queen. Lysera stood beside him, her glowing form flickering with worry. They will not stop until they control the throne, she said softly. And they have already taken my energy chambers. If we do not act quickly, they will harness my light for destruction. Elias nodded. Then we cannot wait. I will get you back safely. Lysera looked at him, her gaze intense. You risk your life for me? He gave a faint smile. I risk it for the chance to keep the galaxy from burning and because no one should fight alone. The plan was simple yet dangerous. The Purists had fortified the council chambers, where Lysera's energy was stored in a crystal chamber, a cage of pure light, vibrating with unimaginable power. Elias and Lysera moved through the sky corridors, pathways made of floating crystal bridges that twisted and turned above the city. Elias's eyes scanned for traps. The Purists were clever, but humans had something the Viherans did not. Unpredictability. You fight differently from them, Lysera said softly. Your steps, your tactics, they are not like ours. Elias smiled faintly. Humans learn from mistakes. We improvise. She watched him closely, realizing that while he looked ordinary, every move was calculated yet fluid. He was a predator shaped by necessity, courage, and logic, qualities the Viherans rarely needed in their perfect lives. They reached the outer perimeter of the council chambers. 2 guards of light floated in circles, scanning the air for intruders. Elias motioned to Lysera to stay back. He picked up a small device, human ingenuity in its simplest form. A reflective lens, a prism, and a small energy emitter. In seconds, the device bounced the patrol's light sensors into a loop. The guard's vision repeated the same segment of space over and over, unaware of the intruder. Humans are clever, Lysera whispered, her glow faint with admiration. Elias shrugged. We have to be. They slipped past the guards, moving deeper into the chambers. The walls here were made of pure energy, humming with power. Every step caused ripples that could trigger alarms. But Elias adjusted his movements, pressing against walls, using shadows and timing every stride to avoid detection. At last, they reached the chamber where Lysera's energy form was trapped. The crystal cage pulsed with brilliant light. Lysera's own glow was dim, strained, as if she had been holding herself back to survive. The energy is draining me, she said. If they complete the ritual, it could destroy me. And the city. Elias clenched his fists. Not if I can help it. The Purists' leader, a tall Viheran with dark violet light, stepped forward. You dare enter our domain, human? He hissed. Do you know what you face? Elias stood firm. I know enough to stop you. The leader laughed, a harsh sound that cut through the crystal halls. Your courage is meaningless. You are mortal. You cannot withstand Vihiran light. Elias glanced at Lysera, who gave a small nod. He took a deep breath and acted. The battle began with speed and chaos. Energy beams shot across the hall, bouncing off crystal walls. Elias moved like water, fast, unpredictable, and daring. Using mirrors from the chamber, he reflected the attackers' energy back at them, causing confusion. Lysera joined in, channeling her remaining power to shield Elias from the strongest beams. Together, human unpredictability and Vihiran light formed a force the purist had not anticipated. Your moves, strange but effective, said the purist leader, narrowing his eyes. You are human, Elias gritted his teeth, and humans survive. He darted forward, grabbing a key prism from the chamber wall. Using it, he reflected a concentrated beam of light onto the cage's locking mechanism. With a sharp snap, the crystal shattered. Lysera's light burst outward, free and brilliant. The hall trembled as energy surged. The purist leader screamed and tried to contain the flow, but it was too late. Lysera's glow filled the chamber, pushing back every enemy. Elias stepped back, shielding his eyes from the brilliance. When he looked again, the purists were gone, either forced to flee or too weak to continue. The city was safe. Breathing heavily, Elias turned to Lysera. She floated toward him, glowing brighter than ever. You risked everything, she said softly. Your courage. It saved not only me, but the city. Elias shook his head. It wasn't just courage. It was thinking, timing, and luck. Lysera smiled, a warm, radiant light filling the space between them. To us, it is courage. Humans may be fragile, but you carry something no Vihiran has. Heart. He looked at her, feeling something he had not expected. Not fear, not admiration, but a deep connection. And what about you? He asked quietly. What do you carry? She paused, her glow softening. Loneliness, duty. And now, trust. I have never trusted anyone like this before. Elias stepped closer. Then we fight together. Always. When the battle ended, the queen arrived in the chamber. Her glow was steady, controlled, but her eyes held a new understanding. She walked to Elias and studied him closely. You risked your life for my daughter, she said softly. Not for glory, not for reward, but because it was right. That is unusual for a human. Elias bowed slightly. I do what I must. Not for myself, but for life, and for the chance to prevent destruction. The queen nodded slowly. Perhaps. I have underestimated your kind. Courage is not only in perfection, but in persistence. Not only in light, but in heart. Lysera floated toward them, her glow blending with her mother's. Mother, he saved not just me, but the balance of Vihira. Humans may be different, but they are stronger than we imagined. The queen studied Elias one last time. Then hear this, human. You have passed a test not by strength alone, but by spirit. Know that your deeds here will be remembered not just in Vihira, but in every corner of this galaxy. Elias felt a warmth spread through him. Respect, yes, but also acceptance. He looked at Lysera, and she smiled back, brighter than ever. For the first time, the commander realized something profound. Beauty alone could inspire fear, admiration, or awe, but it was courage, heart, and choice that commanded respect. The city slowly returned to peace. Guards replaced the purists, and the council chambers were secured. But the people whispered about the human who had walked fearlessly into the heart of light and darkness and emerged victorious. Lysera stayed by Elias's side, her glow reflecting his presence like a mirror. You are not just a human, she said softly. You are a bridge, Par, between worlds, between light and life. Elias smiled. I am just me, but maybe that is enough. That night, high above the city, they stood together on the palace balcony. The twin moons reflected off the crystal towers, and for the first time Elias felt that beauty did not have to be feared. It could be shared, respected, and protected. Lysera turned to him. You faced fear today, Elias, but tomorrow will bring new challenges. He took a deep breath, his eyes on the horizon. Then we faced them together. And somewhere in the shadows of Vihira, those who had sought rebellion whispered warnings, plotting new schemes. But Elias, Roran, and Lysera knew one truth. Humans were unpredictable, courageous, and bound by heart, a force the galaxy had never truly measured before. The test was over, but the journey had only begun. The twin suns of Vihira Prime rose slowly, spilling gold and silver over the crystal city. After the chaos of the purist rebellion, The capital was quiet for the first time in weeks. Commander Elias Roran stood on the palace balcony, gazing at the horizon. His body was tired from battle, his uniform scratched and dusty, but his spirit felt lighter than it had in years. Beside him, Princess Lysera floated, her glow warm and steady. She had recovered from the drain of her imprisonment stronger than ever, her light shining with her own choice, not duty. "Do you ever tire of all this perfection?" Elias asked quietly, nodding toward the city below. The towers shimmered like frozen stars, flawless and gleaming. Lysera smiled faintly. "I do. Perfection can be suffocating. But it is home. My people love it, though sometimes I wonder if they love me or the light I carry." Elias turned to her. "The world does not define what people are. Only their actions, their choices, and their hearts." Lysera's gaze softened. "And what do you think of me?" He hesitated, remembering the first day he had met her. Her overwhelming beauty, her radiant glow, the fear and awe it inspired in him. Then he remembered the battles, the shared laughter, the moments when she had been more than light, more than a symbol. She had been real. "You are extraordinary," he said quietly, "not because of how you look, but because of who you are. Brave, kind, alive." Her glow brightened as if acknowledging his words. "Then you see me," she said softly. "Not just my light." "Yes," he said. "I see you, all of you." The calm of the morning was broken by a soft musical chime. The Queen's voice echoed through the halls, calling both of them. Elias and Lysera moved together to the throne chamber, their steps steady and quiet. Queen Veliara sat upon her throne, her glow controlled and regal, yet her eyes held a new warmth. The purest had been dealt with. The city was secure, and now she faced the human who had challenged tradition and fear itself. "You have done well, Elias Roran," she said. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of centuries. "You have faced fear, chaos, and power beyond your kind. And yet you acted not for glory but for life, for my daughter. For Vihira, tell me, do you still reject her?" Elias bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I do not reject her. I see her as she is, not perfect, not a symbol, but real. And that is more beautiful than perfection itself." The Queen regarded him silently, then slowly rose. "You speak with the heart of a human, yet with courage that surpasses many Vihirans. Perhaps I was wrong to doubt your kind." Lysera floated forward, radiant and calm. "Mother, he saved me. Not for duty, not for orders, but because it was right. That is the essence of humanity. That is strength." The Queen studied them both. After a long moment she said, "Then I ask again, human, do you love my daughter?" Elias looked at Lysera, her light shimmering gently like a living star. He smiled softly, quietly, without hesitation. "I don't just love her, Your Majesty. I understand her. And that is more than enough." The Queen's eyes softened, and for the first time, Elias felt her approval, not as a ruler granting permission, but as a mother seeing her child's happiness. "You have passed every test," she said, "and in doing so, you have shown the galaxy the strength of humanity. Its courage, its heart, its ability to see beyond appearances. Your kind may be mortal, but your spirit is eternal." Lysera moved closer to Elias. "Then we are free," she whispered. He nodded. "Free to choose. Free to learn from each other. Free to live." Days later, the Treaty of Light and Life was formally signed. Delegates from dozens of alien worlds attended, watching as humans and Vihirans stood together, not just as allies, but as equals. Elias stood beside Lysera, holding a small human artifact, a simple glass globe reflecting the twin suns of Vihira. "It's like your city," he said softly. "Beautiful, but fragile." Lysera smiled. "Perhaps that is the point. Strength is not in perfection, but in surviving despite weakness." The Queen watched them from her throne, a small smile on her face. She had learned something important, that beauty alone did not command respect or loyalty. It was the courage to act, the heart to care, and the choice to protect that truly mattered. Weeks passed, and the city returned to normal. Elias and Lysera spent time exploring Vihira together, learning from each other. She learned about Earth, about human stories, laughter, struggle, and joy. He learned about Vihiran wisdom, light, and the responsibilities of immortality. They laughed, shared, and grew closer. But more importantly, the galaxy began to see humans differently. The ambassadors and leaders whispered stories of the human who had faced impossible odds, stood against fear, and protected not only a princess but an entire city. Elias Roran became a symbol, not of perfection, but of human courage and heart. One evening, as the sun set, Elias and Lysera stood on the palace balcony, overlooking the glowing city. Lysera spoke softly, her voice blending with the hum of Vihira. "Do you ever regret saying I was too beautiful?" Elias smiled. "No, it was true at the time. I didn't understand you yet. I saw only light, and not the person inside." She looked at him, her eyes shining like liquid stars. "And now?" "Now," he said, "I see everything. And that is what matters." Lysera's glow brightened, reflecting the golden light of the setting suns. She reached for his hand, not with command, but with choice. "Then walk with me, Elias Roran. Let us show the stars what it means to live, to love, and to be human. Together." Elias took her hand, feeling warmth, hope, and trust. "I will," he said. "To the end of the galaxy and beyond." The Queen approached, her presence quiet yet commanding. "You have done more than I expected, human. You have shown that the strength of humanity is not in power, but in heart. And perhaps that is why my daughter has chosen you." Elias bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will honor that trust always." The Queen placed her hand briefly on Lysera's shoulder. "Go then, live freely. Teach the galaxy that life, love, and courage are stronger than perfection." With that, she turned, her robes of light flowing like a river of stars. As night fell, Elias and Lysera watched Earth rise on the horizon of Vihira Prime, a small blue planet. "Imperfect and alive. You call this home?" Lysera asked, her voice soft. Elias nodded. "Yes, full of flaws, struggles, and beauty you cannot measure by light alone. But that is what makes it perfect." She smiled, her glow reflecting in the oceans below. "Then perhaps I have much to learn." "And I have much to share," he said. Together they stood hand in hand, watching the twin moons rise. Above them, the stars shone brightly, and for the first time the galaxy seemed to understand something it had never seen before. Humans were not just fragile mortals. They were brave, clever, and capable of love that reached beyond the limits of light, and in that quiet moment, the universe seemed to whisper its approval, carrying the story of Elias Roran and Princess Lysera across the stars. A story of courage, understanding, and the beauty of being human. Final line. And for the first time, the stars themselves envied humanity, for we alone could love what was never meant to be perfect.